Chosen one. Have you ever wondered why your childhood felt more like a battlefield than a beginning? Why even before you understood the world, you already carried the weight of it? Let me tell you something the world never had the language to say. You weren't cursed. You were chosen. Your pain wasn't punishment. It was preparation. And your darkness, it wasn't your destruction. It was your divine awakening to become the highest and most powerful version of yourself. Let's go deeper into the sacred truth behind your difficult beginnings. 1. Your light triggered the darkness around you. Chosen one. From the moment you entered this world, your aura spoke before your words ever could. Even as a child, before you had language, before you had logic, you had presence. A stillness, a glow, a quiet wisdom that made people pause. But here's the hidden truth. Your light didn't just shine, it exposed. And that made people deeply uncomfortable, because your soul carried purity while they were still buried in their pain. You reflected love in its rawest form, and that mirror was too bright for those hiding in their own shadows. Wounded parents who hadn't healed, siblings carrying jealousy, relatives projecting their own limitations. They didn't know how to nurture you, so they tried to control or suppress you. They mocked your sensitivity, dismissed your emotions, called you too much or too different. But the truth is, you were never too much. You were just too pure for their unhealed pain. They couldn't decode your energy, so they feared it. They couldn't match your vibration, so they tried to lower it. But even in their rejection, your spirit never stopped radiating, because what comes from the divine cannot be dimmed by the wounded. They mistook your compassion for weakness. They took your light for granted. But your soul, it kept rising, silently, slowly, but surely. Because you weren't just a bright child. You were a soul encoded with divine light on assignment. And while they tried to extinguish you, all they really did was sharpen you. You are proof that even when light walks through darkness, it cannot be undone. It only becomes brighter. 2. You were born into karma. You came to break. Chosen one. You didn't just land in your family. You incarnated there by divine choice. Before your first breath, your soul said yes to a bloodline weighed down by lifetimes of unresolved karma. Yes to cycles of abandonment. Yes to generational trauma. Yes to unspoken pain that echoed through every ancestor before you. But why? Because your soul was built for this mission. You were never sent to fit in. You were sent to transmute, to take what was toxic and turn it into truth, to alchemize pain into power, to do what no one before you had the strength, awareness, or spiritual maturity to do. Your family lineage may have been riddled with abuse that was normalized, silence that hid secrets, rage passed down like heirlooms, emotional neglect masked as tradition. But you were born as the divine interruption, the walking reset button on a karmic loop, the soul with the blueprint to break what seemed unbreakable. And yes, it was heavy. You felt the weight of things that weren't even yours. Ancestral grief, inherited fears, energies passed down like shadows. But understand this, your suffering wasn't punishment, it was spiritual training. The divine trusted you with this burden because it knew you would one day turn it into a blessing. You weren't born into pain to be consumed by it. You were born into pain to purify it. With your light, your awareness, your healing. So if it ever felt like you were carrying too much, it's because your soul agreed to carry what others could not. And the moment you began to awaken, to heal, to reclaim your power, the entire bloodline shifted. You didn't just change your life, you changed the destiny of every soul connected to yours. You are not the curse. You are the cure. So yes, it was heavy. But oh, chosen one, it was holy. 3. Your pain activated your purpose. Chosen one, let's speak the sacred truth. Your purpose wasn't born from comfort. It was forged in the fire of your pain. Every betrayal that cracked your heart open, every moment you were silenced, ignored, dismissed, or forgotten, every tear you cried behind closed doors, none of it was wasted. It all became alchemical fuel. The pain didn't just break you, it broke you open, wide enough for your divine purpose to pour in. You didn't just suffer, you saw. You saw what others looked away from. You felt what others were too numb to notice. And that sensitivity, that depth, it became your spiritual superpower because of your wounds. You gained empathy, not the surface kind, but the soul-deep kind that feels someone's silence louder than their words. You developed intuition, that inner knowing that was sharpened in every dark season where you had to navigate without a map. You acquired wisdom, not from books, but from surviving the very storms that were meant to drown you. You received spiritual gifts, discernment, emotional intelligence, energetic awareness, gifts you wouldn't have accessed without the suffering. The very people who tried to destroy your light didn't realize they were unintentionally activating it. Because nothing awakens a soul like pain endured with purpose. And now, your presence carries a frequency that shifts rooms. Your voice carries truth that cuts through illusions. Your journey has made you a healer, a guide, a spiritual lighthouse for others, lost in the same dark you once knew. Your pain activated your purpose, and that's why your purpose carries power, real, spiritual, soul-born power. You don't need to prove yourself. Your energy speaks for you, because you were initiated by life, and now you lead, not from ego, but from experience, from empathy, from elevation. Chosen one, your pain wasn't punishment. It was your portal. 4. You were spiritually tested early. Chosen one. While other children were wrapped in innocence, you were wrapped in warfare. While they were learning how to play, laugh, and live freely, you were learning how to survive. You were reading the energy in a room before you even knew what energy was. You were scanning faces, sensing moods, anticipating outbursts, not because you wanted to, but because your environment required it. But hear this clearly. Your early suffering wasn't random. It was spiritual preparation. The divine didn't test you to destroy you. The divine tested you to refine you. You were chosen for a mission that required spiritual stamina, resilience, and discernment. So life handed you lessons early, not because you were cursed, but because you were called. Your soul was enlisted into sacred training, to learn strength through abandonment, to learn trust through betrayal, to learn your own voice by first being silenced, to learn how to hear spirit, because human love was inconsistent. While others were learning basic math, you were learning emotional alchemy, how to transmute pain into purpose, how to turn fear into fuel, how to turn silence into sacred communication with the divine. You didn't get to be naive, because your light was meant to lead. And leaders don't grow in comfort, they grow in the crucible of experience. You're not just strong, chosen one, you are spiritually fortified. Your trials built a foundation that hell itself couldn't shake. You walk with a calm that confuses chaos. You hold boundaries that feel like blades to people who once controlled you. And those early spiritual tests, they were sacred contracts, initiations into the divine power that was always buried within you. So don't resent your early pain. Reverence it, because it built the warrior that your soul came here to be. 5. Isolation taught you to hear the divine. Chosen one. You didn't just grow up feeling different. You grew up feeling alone. You were the quiet one, the daydreamer, the deep soul in shallow spaces. You sat at tables where no one really saw you. You spoke truths that others weren't ready to hear. You felt things too deeply and were told you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. So life isolated you. You were excluded, overlooked, misunderstood, not as punishment, but as preparation. Because in that silence, something sacred happened. You learned to hear what the world forgot how to hear. You heard your intuition whispering through your gut. You felt spirit nudging you through signs, dreams, and sensations. You sensed truth beneath people's words and saw energy in what others dismissed. While they drowned in distraction, you were tuning into divine direction. That loneliness, it became your classroom. That isolation, it became a sanctuary, a sacred space where the divine could reach you, teach you, and anchor you, because spirit needed your attention. And sometimes, the only way to get a chosen one's attention is to pull them away from the noise. You weren't abandoned. You were set apart. So while others chased external validation, you cultivated internal revelation. You built a bond with Source so unshakable that now no crowd can confuse you. No chaos can mislead you. That connection became your compass when you were lost, your fire when you felt cold, your shield when you were under attack. And now, that inner knowing, that divine GPS, is your superpower. You hear God in the silence. You feel the universe in stillness. And when you speak now, it's not just with opinion, it's with spiritual authority. So don't mourn the years you spent alone. Honor them, because they gave you access to what most people will never find. A direct line to the divine. Chosen one. Your childhood was never meant to destroy you. It was designed to forge you. Because only someone who's walked through fire can carry the flame that lights the way for others. You were never broken. You were being rebuilt by the divine into someone rare, real, and radiant. Don't mourn the pain of your past. Honor it, because it didn't make you bitter. It made you chosen. And now, it's your time to rise, to become fearless and unstoppable, to become the highest and most powerful version of yourself. Like, subscribe, and drop 777 in the comments if this resonates. Amen.